Hello, thank you for joining us today for today's webinar, Pathways to Jobs or Transfer, Alignment of CTE with Student Services. Today's webinar is brought to you by the California Career Pathways Trust Technical Assistance Project. My name is Teresa Cook and I'll be your facilitator today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter them in the general chat area. Our presenter today is Rick Hodge. Rick is an experienced administrator with more than 25 years of higher education experience in campus management, CTE, economic and workforce development, community education, and corporate and business training. Rick has worked in community colleges and universities, both public and private, serving in his 12th year at a dean level, currently working at Los Angeles Southwest College. Rick is the director of the Career Industry Pathway Pilot Program, consisting of 8 colleges in Los Angeles and Orange County. Rick and his college have been recognized for the creation of the CEO Center for Entrepreneurial Opportunities, awarded by the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship as the top entrepreneur college in the nation for 2016. Rick also chaired the Strong Workforce Regional Projects for 19 Los Angeles community colleges in Southern California. He currently chairs the Regional Consortium on Global Trade and Logistics with 10 colleges in Los Angeles and Orange County. Welcome, Rick Hodge, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, to what I believe is going to be an exciting topic for all of us in secondary and post-secondary positions. I noticed that we got a pretty diverse audience, and I wanted to give you a sense of, who's in the room. It includes career pathway specialists, counselors, student support staff, career counselors, principals, deans, associate deans, program directors, CTE coordinators, workforce development managers, job specialists, grant coordinators, work-based learning experts, associate vice chancellors, career readiness directors, adult ed directors, faculty, and education advisors. Pretty diverse group. Very happy to have everybody in the room. And the slide you're looking at is really important, so take a close look. This is our Career Transfer Pathways and Job Center here at LA Southwest College. And we have braided these services together for a reason. And the reason is I want to start a revolution. That may sound a bit outlandish, but this slide represents the 4 functions that are critical to student success. And yet many of us, as you probably feel and sense, are in silos, right, in our various departments. We have a tendency to get territorial. But think about the student. When students look at our services, they don't see the divisions and they don't see the silos. They just follow, in general, what we tell them. And so these functions, these 4 functions, I actually view as outcomes that can create that accelerated journey for students to get to their desired end goal. And that end goal, what is it? Jobs, careers, higher education, and fantastic wages. And that really is what CTE is all about. And I think it's also what student services is about. So I'm going to spend this hour on the merits of this model and how CTE and student services can work in tandem to create the synergy in making student success truly student-centric. So let's go from here. I'm just going to show you a few slides from my campus so you get a sense of the flavor of what goes on here. This was an event we put on last spring, and we called it Showcase of the Stars. We had professionals from Starbucks, Chipotle, Wings and Things, and other organizations like Sodexo. And it was really focused on hospitality and hotel-related careers and restaurant careers. So these professionals told our students how they can be like them. We invited high school students. We invited a culinary program from another campus. It was a great hit. I think altogether we had 300 students at this event. This next slide is our job fair, which we do twice a year. We have over 60 employers, and what makes this event so nice is that we have a section where it's actual job on the spot, right? And we prepare students who put in the time prior to this fair. And then when they go to the fair, they get access to that one section, and employers offer them jobs. So we have pretty great response. About 2 months ago, we had Macy's on our campus and hiring students on the spot. That day, we had 400 students in line to get those jobs, and they actually hired about 160. This next slide is our, we did a women's conference, Minority Women's Leadership Conference. We had 400 women on campus on a Friday, and it rained, and they stayed the entire day. So that tells you, how prolific we've been in the field of small business development and entrepreneurship. And then here's a picture of one of our departments, our nursing department, which of course is very important for many of our schools. And they do lots of events where they work with students, and they go out and do health assessment, and so they're really connected to our community. So that gives you just a glimpse of the kind of things that we do in this career transfer pathways and job center. So now I really want to home in on pathways to jobs or transfer, alignment of CTE with student services. And really what I'm going to take you through is from idea to framework, meaning these are the nuances that I'm going to discuss that exist within many of our systems, both K-12 and community college, and that if we make some slight adjustments, you would be surprised of the results. So let me shift now to the learning outcomes for today. And as you look at these learning outcomes, I really want you to think about the fact that you, each one of you, you're the decision maker. You are the ones who will make the impact that will make the difference for our students. So don't view this as a show and tell, because I can do that all day long. I want you to interpret it. I want you to internalize it. And then I want you to think about, okay, how can I take this back to my campus, to my school, and really start to implement some of these outcomes. So the first outcome is I want you to understand key CTE strategies and concepts for student success. Then we'll focus on building meaningful connections and alignment between student services and CTE. We will identify commonalities between student services and CTE, and we will implement innovative strategies or approaches to attract students to pathways that lead to both CTE programs and transfer opportunities. Now, I have 2 CTE counselors who work in my area. They come from general counseling. They, of course, are versed in career counseling as well. And my own background, I actually was a counselor recruiter at Cal State Northridge. So I've been able to view all of this from a variety of angles. From the angle of the university, I was a vice principal at a high school, so I've got K-12 experience. And, of course, I've been in community college a lot of years, and in particular, 3 very good community colleges. I started my community college experience at Chaffey, and then I was at Pasadena for 8 years as a dean, and now I'm here at LA Southwest. So I've really cut my teeth at some great places, and that's part of why I have this background and experience. So let's go into this first outcome, understanding key CTE strategies and concepts for student success. And I want to start with, what does student success look like for CTE and student services? Okay, so I want you first to consider that when you think about the idea of how these 2 areas can come together, it's really about comparing, right, what we do in both of our areas. So with CTE, we really focus on career options. In student services, much of what you do is focus on declaring a major. All right. So when it comes to program selection, at CTE, we're talking about career exploration, right? We put them on the computer. We let them do an assessment. We help them identify what might be their interest, their passion in life. What you do in student services is really move them toward an ed plan and get them into a major and really help them with scheduling their classes and make sure that they can stay on track. The academic focus is about skill development for CTE. And in fact, for those of you in the community college system, I don't know that you all know this, but the Chancellor's Office is now going to start to track what we call skill builders. And that means those individuals that come to us, they generally don't complete a certificate or an AS degree, but what they do is they obtain skills. And then they go out and get a job or they get that promotion. And so now our system is going to start to track those individuals, and they'll be a part of what we call our student success card. So that's pretty, fantastic, that now we won't lose the information from that group of students that are here for a very specific purpose, short term, to develop skills. Then in student services, much of what you're focused on as opposed to skill development would be make sure you're able to get into the right English and math courses and then your major courses and make sure you pass them, with a passing grade. And that tends to be student service focused. Then there's completion. When people ask me, well, what is CTE? Here's how I describe it. I say CTE is all things certificates, credentials, and licensing. And when you think about that, and the best example I can give is nursing, you have to have a license, right? That's a CTE department. Business, much of what you do is, particularly if it's CSIT related, computer related, you've got to have some kind of certification. And then, of course, we have credentials that fall into all kinds of areas. I supervise child development as well, and that's an area where you have to have credentials. So CTE areas will represent those three things. With student services, it's all about A through G, IGETC, and CSU, and of course, getting an associate's degree on your way to the university or a 4-year school. So that's kind of where we focus, and you can see some connections for sure. And one of those connecting areas is, I know, again, as I said earlier, that counselors, many of them understand, know, and are able to articulate career information, and that's great. But in CTE, we really home in on it. We really specialize with it, and it is our driver. It is what creates that focus for the student as they think about what major or what degree or what certificate they want to complete. Okay, the ultimate goal. What does the ultimate goal look like then for both areas, CTE and student services? Well, I would describe it this way. I'd say for CTE, it's really about employment, and which we desire to lead toward wage gains. And in fact, in CTE now, we have a pretty strong mandate in the community college system. That mandate is that we don't even develop or offer curriculum that doesn't come from high-demand, labor-driven occupations. So if they're not high demand, we can't offer them because our money doesn't fund those purposes. So that's why wage gains is a reality for us. But guess what? We're also interested in transfer. It's just that we haven't quite figured out how that fits with a student that's here to get a job primarily or that's here to get a skill primarily. And that's part of what I'm talking about today. Of course, in the world of student services, it is about transfer to a large degree for those students that want to start with us and end up, with a profession. And then that transfer, after they complete their 4-year degree or advanced degrees, they're then headed toward employment. If they get an advanced degree, of course, now they really can begin their profession. So here's where I see true connection, and I see that with this arrow. So I think the fact that CTE is focused on employment and wage gain is pretty much the same outcome as what happens on the student service side when the student is focused on an advanced degree and a profession, right? because that advanced degree and that profession is really the goal of employment, and it is the goal of increased wages. At this point, I'd really like you guys to take a poll. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to do this poll, and you can see what the question is, and I'll take a minute, and we'll see what the results are. Okay, well, it looks like we've got our results in, and just over 90% indicated that they do agree that employment and transfer leading to advanced degrees are the ultimate goal for both CTE and student services. Now, I realize that we don't always interpret it this way. You know, when we think about CTE, that we'd be interested in transfer, and then CTE people would say, well, not always. The student services think too much about career exploration. But that day has really rapidly arrived. Ever since, I'd say, President Bush came on the scene and he started touting community college as a provider for job potential, and then Obama added to that, absolutely. I think ever since then, community college has been put at the forefront of being able to help create that ultimate goal of employment and of a great profession. And so we're in a very rewarding field because of that. And it's our time. It's our time as CTE professionals to really take advantage of this and give our students all the tools that they need. And I know that student services is playing a critical role in that process. So I'm going to go to the next outcome, building meaningful connections and alignment between student services and CTE. And you know what? Before I go into that, I'm looking at some of the chat, and let's see. I'm going to go to, I think CTE can be both employment and transfer to obtain an advanced degree, but it depends on the CTE pathway. So I think Suzanne is absolutely correct. It does, you know, kind of depend on the pathway. And pathway, of course, is a very important word. We're spending a lot of time mapping out pathways, as is the K-12 system. So, which is why, I'll mention this, here on my campus, in the center that I mentioned, we have created what we call academies, and we have 6 of them. The reason we chose the word academy is because that's the word many of the high schools are using, right, to represent their pathways. So we want it to kind of feel seamless. When the student leaves high school, they come to us. Okay, they started out in a healthcare academy. They come to us. Guess what? We have a healthcare academy. Same with business entrepreneurship, with global trade, with energy, and with hospitality. And what did I leave out? With engineering. So we have each of those academies, and I think that's clearly identifying the need for the pathway program. So thanks for that comment. And then I'll mention Stephanie's comment. Let's see, wording can be both and or. Students enrolled in CTE can be successful at the college setting if they are able to do both or one or the other. Yeah, and that really talks about options, right? And it's great to give our students options. In fact, I tell students whenever I speak to them, don't think about coming to college with one major in mind. You can think about a major, a minor, a couple of degrees, a couple of certificates, stackable certificates, because I always tell them, when you get hired for the first job, it was probably because of your skills evident on your resume and how you present yourself. But you don't get promoted for the same reason. You get promoted now for your ability to cross over into other areas, multiple areas, to be able to multitask and to be a team player that can contribute in so many different ways. That comes from having a variety of experiences. So that's what I like to share with students. So thanks for your comments. Okay, so let me go into this outcome. And I want to start with what our focus is today and what it can look like tomorrow. So that's my focus. So CEOs and CIOs see student success through the lens of course completion and transfer. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Counseling operates to support that focus. Now, that's student services. CTE, CEOs and CIOs see student success through the lens of certificate completion and job support with an option to transfer. And counseling can operate to support that focus as well. Again, we haven't always been focused on transfer. I think it's a pretty recent phenomenon, but we understand that leaves all the options open for students. Okay, let's look at this one now on declaring majors. With declaring majors, majors exist for many disciplines, but majors that fall within CTE departments, think about it, are not coded as CTE majors. I was sharing this with somebody today here on the job, and I said to them, if a student registered for classes in the business department and they wanted to major in business, they would sit down with a counselor. The counselor would help map that out. They'd have an ed plan, but there'd probably be no idea in their minds that business represents CTE, right? Because it's not even mentioned probably. So the fact that CTE is not itself coded as a major, that means it's a lot less likely that a student is going to search out CTE. So we then depend on counselors most often in student services to refer students to us. I'm very fortunate on this campus because I have a building, and my entire building is called the School of CTE, Career and Technical Education. Most of our campuses have, a cubby hole, a room, a little office area. I've got an entire building. So that makes what we do much more visible and recognizable to students. But again, on most of our campuses, then if we had this as a function somehow, if majors could somehow be coded as CTE, I think that would go a long way to help students, search us out and get more information. Now, if majors that fall within CTE departments are named by discipline and also coded as CTE majors, then CTE becomes relevant. And it becomes relevant not only to students, but it also becomes more relevant to counselors. And that's what I wanted to share in that slide. Let me move on then to career services. Career services is a secondary function of counseling with education plans as primary. Now, maybe some of you counselors would say, not true, we do both. And I would say, yeah, many of you certainly do both. But you know where your primary focus is. It's that ed plan. Nursing and athletics, for instance, guess what? They have what we call designated counselors. Let's see, we do it in athletics, we do it in child development, we do it in nursing, we do it with veterans. So many of our campuses have what we would call specialized counseling in those areas. Okay, which I think is fantastic. But if we can do that, why then can't we have CTE as designated CTE counselors? We are starting to do that on some of our campuses, but I don't think it's been the broad practice. So you heard me say earlier, I'm trying to create a revolution. And this is where the revolution can occur. If we really start thinking about CTE the same way we think about nursing, child development, athletics, then what we're doing is really fine-tuning. We're homing in on the specific needs that those types of students have. Okay, now let's go to career centers. So career centers tend to exist on the fringes of student services on most campuses, at least at the community college level. I know the high schools, many of them, if not all of them, have career centers. Hopefully your career centers are a great gathering place for your students. And if they are, I can just about tell you what's happening because I've been at a high school. And that is, it's all about transfer, right, to the university. So it's about, reps coming in to talk to students. It's about going to transfer fairs. It's about visiting campuses and having tours. And so within that, the career, what we're calling career center, is being used really as a transfer center. But as a career center, we haven't thought that function through carefully enough, I don't think. So it's not utilized as a comprehensive pathway resource. And guess what, guys? And the word CTE is C, careers. So here we have career centers that haven't been utilized to their fullest potential to support the main function of CTE, which is pathways. So let's dig a little deeper with that. And let me mention that career services is an important function of counseling with new, what I would call, now this is another revolutionary thought. What if we started calling our ed plans ed career plans? Does that sound funny? I don't know, but I think it makes sense because, again, the end goal is have a great career and a great life, right? So what about we call them ed career plans? Because really, that's where students want to be. They want to be passionate about their career. They want that career to be lifelong, if possible, and they want that career to pay well. So why not call it ed career plans? And again, this can happen if we treat our career centers as comprehensive pathway resources. And by the way, I've done this twice at 2 campuses. So both at Pasadena and here, I came in, we had a normal, regular career center. I looked at it and said, we need a different function. And in the beginning, I focused it on student success, right? So, and I looked at the data. So the data drove me to this, meaning we know that for students to be retained, it's all about engagement. And to create engagement with students, it's all about providing their needs, things that they want, and representing yourself as a partner, right? So now they come to us, we say, we are partnering with you for you to achieve your goal. Well, that's the focus I wanted to take. So I took a career center at Pasadena, converted it into a success center. Then when I got to this campus, I converted the career center into a career transfer pathways and job center. And in both cases, change, how change is. People resisted at first, and they were like, we're not so sure what this is going to look like or how this is going to work. But I can tell you over time in both places, they got it. And our faculty got it. And our students got it. And they were like, hey, this is like a one-stop center. We can get all the services we need to get to where we're going. So that's what makes this viable, and that's what makes this revolutionary. Okay, let's go to the next outcome, identifying commonalities between student services and CTE. Before I jump into this, I'm looking at some of the comments. So let me go to, let's see, Jack. And if it's at the community college, what is the role of a CIO, and how does that role align to serving students? Okay, so CIO really for us would be, our vice presidents, and they work in student services as well as in academics at our campuses. So their role really, if it's academics, is about making sure that students are getting certificates, getting degrees, getting the right set of courses that will accelerate them through the program and lead to success. If it's on the student service side of the house, it's about student support, right? It's about, we got lots of options, lots of special programs. We will help matriculate you through the system. We will help articulate the courses that you need, and we will get you to your goal. So I really think that's the role. Now, I see you put Chief Information Officer. You're right. That is for both. Actually, in our system, a CIO can also be a vice president. In the business world, CIO is Chief Information Officer. So if that's the focus of the question, then it's a slightly different answer. I won't take a lot of time to go into that, but hopefully you got some useful information there. Okay, back to the outcome. Identifying commonalities between student services and CTE. So let's start with completion. Again, this is my definition of what CTE is. Certificate, degree, transfer outcomes can closely be matched. And how does that work? Let's look at this scorecard. So the scorecard is posted at our Chancellor Office website. It's public information. And you can see over this period of 6 years that there was completion with degree and transfer at 46.8%. In comparison, CTE completion was at 49.9%, which tells you that they're very closely aligned, right? I mean, we're both in the 40s, the high 40s, which means we're somewhere near half of our students are able to complete. That's not all bad. I know what the stats are at the high school level, and so for us, we certainly have room for improvement. But again, what I want to focus on is how closely aligned we are in our outcome. Okay, let's go further. Let's look at retention. CTE student retention also supports degree completion. Now, you might ask, how so? Well, here's where I think the answer is. 4 out of 5 secondary CTE graduates who pursued post-secondary education after high school had earned a credential or were still enrolled 2 years later. I think that's phenomenal. In fact, when I talk to my president, when I talk to administrators, this is the first statistic I share because I want them to know, hey guys, can you see the linkage? Can you see the connection from high school to college? Meaning, if that many students are having success at K-12, and then they come to us and 2 years later, they're still having success, then that should be the focus of our outreach. That should be the focus of our attention, because that means, man, that's, 4 out of 5. Wow, that's a great percentage. That's 80%. So when you've got that kind of success, that 80% looks a whole lot better than the 49% completion, right? So that commonality does exist between our two systems, and I think that's a great stat. Let's go a little further. 59% of students who earned at least 20 college credits in their first year went on to earn a degree, compared with just 21% of students who did not earn the credits early on. Now, that's a significant gap, right? 59-21, very significant. So once again, it tells you in the first year of their experience, once they get those 20 credits, so that would be the critical time. If they can complete 20 units, then they're on their way to success. And again, that's a commonality that we share. Okay, now let's go to wage increases. So when you think about wage increases, certificates and associate degrees match up with a bachelor degree and wage gains in the middle skill. Now you might ask, okay, how is that so? And what does that mean? Well, so let me explain. This middle skill job market really is about 30%. And that 30%, let me go back. That 30% is that middle area of open jobs available countrywide around the U.S. And it really represents those categories where students can get very good wages. And I'm talking anywhere from entry level 35, 37,000 to 70, 80,000. So we're talking good paying jobs right out the gate, entry level. And the reason why there's so many jobs in that category is because of technology. because technology has changed the game, right? Everything is now automated. Everything is digital. We live in a digital information age. Everything's social media driven. Everything's global. So because of those things, it has changed the world of available occupations for our students. So that is why you have a 30% category of potential jobs that exist expressly for the population of students that we serve. And that population are those who have achieved their high school diploma, have started some college, but maybe not completed, and maybe they have completed, right? But it's that middle gap area, and I think that's phenomenal. So that's another commonality that exists between the two systems, meaning get your diploma, come to the community college system, get a certificate or two, get some credentials, or get an AS degree. Now, guess what? You're employable, and you're employable at some very good wages. Okay, let's move on then to a little bit more about what this means. 43% of young workers with licenses and certificates earn more than those with an associate's degree. Did you hear what I said? Like, how's that possible? How's it possible that that many, 43%, earn more money than those with an associate's degree? Well, here's why. As you know, in university and at the community college system, we've got liberal arts. And I know you've seen the news clips. Many students with degrees, advanced degrees, in liberal arts are not getting jobs. If you're a history major, if you're a psych major, if you're a sociology major, your options just aren't plentiful, and those fields are getting very impacted. If, however, if you're a computer science major, if you are a business major, if you're a healthcare major, if you are a hospitality major, well, guess what? You've got job opportunities that those other liberal arts areas don't have. Now, many students, of course, are still interested in liberal arts, but that explains why. Again, 43% earn more than they do. So that, I find that to be a very interesting statistic. And so there it is. 43% earn more, 31%. Now, let's talk about the 31%. 31% of young workers with associate degrees earn more than those with a bachelor's degree. So that's about a third, which is not bad. I mean, here's what it tells you. High school, you make a certain level of income. Certificates, you make a certain level of income. If you get that associate's degree, you got a higher income. If you get a bachelor's degree, generally, you have a higher income, right? And if you get advanced degrees, you get a higher income. So certainly we suggest that the higher up the ladder you go with your educational preparation, the better your chances for higher wages. But that doesn't mean that if you stay at that less than an advanced degree level, that you're also not going to earn good wages. So that's what this is showing. Okay, here's a chart now that looks at California job openings by education level, and you're looking at that 30% now. So in California, that represents 1.9 million job openings that will require some college or an associate's degree. So it's pretty evenly divided, right, between high school diploma, some college, and a bachelor's degree. So there you have it in a graph. Okay, going further, let's look at the next outcome. Implementing innovative approaches to attract students to pathways that lead to both CTE programs and transfer opportunities. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a minute, and I'm going to look at, again, one of the comments. Let me go to, let's see, Dave Andrews. The measure of success must, and it's a little bit cut off for me, but must also be the career advancement, etc., not just a certificate, degree, or transfer. So the measure of success you're pointing out must also be career advancement. And I think you're right. Now, I think some of you know this. When the economy has a downturn, guess what happens? When the economy goes down, people come back to college. Why? so that they can have greater career advancement. When the economy gets better, they don't come back to college as nearly as often to advance their status so that they can get that promotion, that pay raise. So if that's kind of what you mean, Dave, by career advancement, it's true. It is true. We should measure success that way as well. And as you know, learning is lifelong. So many people are on that, career path. They're in their profession, but they want to advance. And when they advance, they know that means education. Education and advancement equate. So that would be my interpretation of that comment. Great comment. Okay, let me go further now into this outcome. So a refocusing then of career counseling on campus can align perfectly with the intent of educational pathways. What do I mean? Okay, let's take a look. First, you heard me mention a career ed plan. It might take some doing to get us there, but I think it makes so much sense. Here's another reason why it makes sense that I hadn't mentioned before. If in general counseling, it's a career ed plan, guess what? That general counselor is going to be focused on both. If on the CTE side of the house, if it's a CTE counselor, they're going to be focused just as much on the education plan as they are the career plan. So when we change the name, if we were to do that, I know it's a little radical, but if we were to do that, I think it would change how we think about it. And I know it would change how the student thinks about it, which is, students. First, they're not sure what they want to do out of high school, many of them. But one thing they are sure about, they want money, right? They want to have good income so that they can get the things that they want in life. Well, if that income is also tied to a passion, a career that they will love to get up every morning to do, then they're going to be so excited, and it's going to be well worth the work that they put in. So that's one part of this. The second part of this is certificates can be articulated, right? If we refocus again, meaning, now here's what I mean by that. We have on my campus a middle college high school, which is perfect because those students primarily want to go to the university. When high school was, measured by API scores, our high school was 17th in the state with their API scores. So clearly, they want to go to the university. So what I've had to do is say to them, on your way to the university, think about getting some certificates under your belt. So what we're doing is mapping that pathway process from high school, 9th grade, 10th, 11th, 12th, dual enrollment, and get them into our college programs. And to me, it's like, this is a no-brainer. When I talk to parents, I say to them, think about it. Your students from 9th grade to 12th grade can actually get an associate's degree in college if they stay on course and they take a couple of classes a semester, and guess what? It's free tuition, because it's dual enrollment. Wow. They can get a college degree while they're in high school, and then when they come to us, they can basically transfer to the university, take those units with them, and now they're moving into their sophomore year at the university. Wow. And in many cases, that's a guarantee. If they complete with us what they're supposed to complete, they keep their GPA up, we have partnerships with the universities now that are guarantees. And that means they get a spot. And that is pretty phenomenal, that students today can have that benefit. And parents love it when they realize, wow, you mean I don't have to pay for all of that? I don't have to get a second job? It's free? Yeah. And they don't have to struggle getting into the university? That's right. So that pathway, high school, community college, university, it exists. And it's for real. Okay, then there is a CTE-focused counselor, which you've heard me mention. So with a job or promotion as an option to transfer, for some students, a CTE-focused counselor can be the advisor for this student. And I hope that's already happening, on our campuses. I hope that when that is the goal of a student, they really want a job, that you're sending them over to CTE, and I hope that CTE, really helps them think about advanced degrees while they're in the process of helping them with a job. So I think that works both ways. Okay. Now, I'm kind of in the recap of what we've been talking about, and that is innovative career centers. So a restructuring of career centers on campus can align perfectly with the intent of CTE. How? First, through careers. Second, through transfer. Third, through pathways. And fourth, through jobs. That's a center that like I said, I've had a lot of success with. We're still in our development phases because every year, there's new ways of doing what we do and new ways of connecting to our students. But this is a restructure that I've found to be, very important. Now, here are the services that go with this restructure. So if you look carefully, careers is about assessments, exploration, CTE counselor that they go to, and CTE programs. Transfer is about university reps, transfer guide, assist website, and major sheets. By the way, we do a major fair, and that major fair is perfect because that's where we involve our faculty. All the faculty love it because they get to promote and talk about all of their programs. So they're all in the room. Students come and they get major sheets, and those sheets tell them the pathway again. They show them you can go from here to here to here, and it can start with courses that lead to a certificate, that lead to an associate's degree, that lead to transfer. And so that major fair works for us really nicely. Pathways, we have certificate programs. We have a resource center here where students can come, get on the computer, research it. We ask faculty to bring classes down to the resource center, and they can do research projects. They can do, live experimental projects as well. And then, and this is really important, we have a faculty advisor group over our academy. So I said I have 6 of those. Well, those 6 are representing each one of the 6 pathways, right? The pathway academies. And I give them a stipend, and what they have to do is get professional development in that field. They have to open up their classrooms for our counselors and others to come in and talk to students. They have to bring students to events. We send them to conferences, and we pay for it. And we keep them current on all the latest information, particularly when it comes to social media, technology, and kind of how to be where our students are. Because, most of our students are quite advanced when it comes to social media, and it's where they live. They live in the visual world. So we're trying to get our faculty to use all that they can to connect with our students. So that's pathways. And then jobs. On this campus, we have hot jobs, and those are like local employers who say, hey, we got openings now. So we post those every week. We have an online job network where we have over, last count, we have over 200 employers. And our students go in, set up a portal. Now they have direct access to those employers. Then we have a work readiness program, and that's 6 workshops and 6 workbooks. So here's a great connection, guys. You all have, at our colleges, career classes. So here we call it Counseling 20. Students take Counseling 20. It's a career exploration class. But what we say to them is send those students down to our center, our Pathway Center. We will then get them work ready with workshops. So we have 7 different workshops. At the end of the workshop, we give them a workbook, tailor-made workbook. They take it home and has internet exercises. And in those exercises, they complete them, bring the workbook back. We give them a certificate for completion of that workshop. So that's how we work, again, with student services and our faculty, and it works very well. And then there's resume writing and mock interviews. Okay, I see a question from Jack. Rick, do you have information from your school about success, completion, progress of students who come to the community college already having earned units through dual enrollment? FYI, I'm really interested in dual enrollment AP, because students taking AP tend to be more successful academic already. Okay, so the answer to your question is yes, we do have success completion data. I'm in 3 pathway grants. One that's focused on 2 sectors, and that's ICT and business entrepreneurship. Another one that's focused on all the sectors that are high growth. And a third one with LAUSD, right? And they drive that primarily, but we support. So those are the 3 pathway grants that we're in, and in each of those grants, we do have success, completion, progress data that we have to report every quarter. And yes, we do track earned units. We do identify those students in terms of dual enrollment, and we carefully extrapolate them between each of those grants and pathways. So yes, we do have that information we can share. Okay, the last thing I want to say is engagement. Engagement happens at the first encounter. Okay, I think you guys know that. When students come on campus, the very first encounters they have really make or break that experience, right? And so that means that we're really dealing with a playbook, guys. Think about sports. In sports, before the game, you've got a playbook. That playbook tells you, here's all the things we're going to plan to do, the strategies to win this game. Now, when you get into the game, there's all kind of unpredictables. And that's the same thing with students when they come on campus. There's all sorts of unpredictables, which really represent barriers, right, that would say to a student, I don't know if I want to be here. Or, you know, it's difficult for me to be here. I don't have the finances. I don't have child care support. I don't have the passion to really do this. I'm just doing it because of my parents. We got all these different things that occur that are unpredictable. But if we've got a game plan that's solid and that is unified and not siloed, then for the student, they're going to arrive on campus and go, I like this place. Everybody seems to be together in sync. I hear nothing but positive about all the programs. I'm learning so much more than the major that I've chosen. And, you know, the horizon is fantastic. So that's what I mean by engagement happens at the first encounter. How does that happen? Well, campus outreach and dual enrollment of high school students can guide students to career services. So it's all about that outreach component, and it's all about getting to high school students to show them the way. It's also this. Student services front counter can screen and refer CTE interested students to CTE counseling, or at least to the CTE department. I don't know how much of that we do, but we need to do more of it, again, because we're really prepared now. We're getting prepared to have that playbook that will make the student successful. Then there is this. Colleges can make career assessments a pre-ed plan requirement for students. What a thought. I mean, we use career assessments quite often, but how much of it becomes a part of their plan? And that's where, again, we specialize in on the CTE side of the house. And I know a lot of general counseling does it as well. And then there's this. Career services and CTE counseling can provide cross-referrals to general counseling as appropriate. Because oftentimes what will happen is a student will come to CTE. After we've listened to them for 20 minutes, we realize, you know what, you really need to go to general counseling. They can really home in on the major you're thinking about, on the classes that you need, and on the time period it's going to take to complete. So that's where we can do cross-referrals between departments. All right. Career is in the name. Career and technical education. So I'm going to challenge you guys. Let's take advantage of it. Let's make sure that what we do represents launching a new idea on your campus. So remember what I said in the beginning. You're the decision makers. You're the ones that will create this revolution. Campus by campus, high school by high school. And again, if we do this the right way, it'll be such a great success, because that means we've shifted. You know what I mean? We've gotten away from silo. We've gotten away from doing one thing in our area. And we've gotten away from territorialism. If we can do that, believe me, our students are going to have a great career and a great life. So guys, the final slide is CTE and student services can be aligned, and they can be aligned in all of these categories: high school to college, certificates, AS degrees, middle jobs, earnings, and transfer. And I think that makes it work. So I want to thank you for your attention. Sorry I couldn't get to more of the questions, but maybe Susan and Teresa will want to do another one of these, and we'll go further and deeper into the information. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rick, for presenting all that great information today. And thank you, participants, for jumping in the chat. We had some great conversations going on. And if you have continued questions or comments that you'd like to share with Rick, you have his email available there in the chat, and you can send it to him. We also want to give a great shout out to the California Career Pathways Trust Technical Assistance Project and the Napa County Office of Education for bringing this to you. We do have a closing survey. If you would be so kind as to take that, please remember you only get one chance at picking a star, so choose carefully. And we do thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a great afternoon and a safe drive home. Thank you.